Hello, guys. Today's topic is eight principles, basic theories of traditional Chinese medicine, produced by ATCM College. The contents are conception of eight principles, development of eight principles, applications of eight principles, and SOAP suggestions. First, let's have a look at the conception of eight principles. The eight principles are known as yin and yang, interior and exterior, cold and heat, deficiency or empty, and axis or full. It's four groups of interacted and conflict, independent, and opposition conception. That's four groups, and each groups have two conceptions. So it's eight conceptions, and it's also called eight principles. So how eight principles is developed from yin and yang? That's what we'll discuss the next part of this lecture or of this class. Well, next is the development of eight principles. Before we go further, let's have a review of the TCM theoretical system. The theoretical system comes from Qi, and everybody knows this from it will separated or classified as yin and yang, the two parts, and have a balanced triangle between yin and yang and Qi. And the yin and yang theory will generate five-element theory. And the five-element theory is relatively independent theoretical system of its own. And it has no obvious influence to the topic we will discuss today, that eight principles. Eight principles have direct connection with yin and yin and yang only. So we cannot see the obvious connection between five elements and eight principles. Yeah, you can see that they both generated from yin and yang, but five elements, as I talked about, has its independent systematic theories, and it has splendid and dynamic generating and restricting. So it's not the topic we discuss today. We focus on the eight principles and its connection with yin and yang. So I erased five elements of this picture, and I put the content of the eight principles, and you will see, there's only three circles, because yin and yang are also the content of the eight principles, but they are the generator of the eight principles. So they're the judge, and also they are the player. I put it out so you can see only exterior, interior, heat, cold, axis, and deficiency in this picture. And I put yin and yang separated from this system. So you can see only six elements, six material, six principles in the eight principle picture. Let's have a review of the characteristic of yin and yang. The first is unity and interdependence, and second is separation and opposition. Third is restriction and transformation. The fourth is rebirth and balance, and we will talk about for the five, eight principles, no five. Well, yin and yang has direct and closest relationship with the eight principles. Yin and yang is a generator, is a father and mother of the eight principles, and they are also the part or the most important part of this system. For yang part, you can see it has heat, exterior, and axis of the left part. And for the right part, the yin part, it has cold, interior, deficiency of the right part. And the left part, we can call its yang-natured category. And the right side, you can call it yin characteristic classification. The eight principles, we can say it's a way to classify the universe in detail. If you only use yin and yang, yeah, it's enough. It's enough to separate the world, separate the people, separate the, we see, do anatomy of the people by yin and yang. By everything, you can divide it into yin and yang, the two sides, the two parts. And also for the relationships, yin and yang. Well, for the eight principles, it develops into other or sub categories to classify, but by the guidance, by the principles of yin and yang, it has detailed classification of the world. But it's not only a way of classification, but also the rule to make a specific definition and analysis for the human body and the principle of the universe. So it's a detailed principles of traditional Chinese medicine. It's on the basis of a yin and yang theory. Let's have a look at the application of eight principles in traditional Chinese medicine theoretical system and for practical use of these principles. The first use of eight principles, especially yin and yang and exterior and interior, is often used to describe the body structure and body function. So it's called anatomy and physiology in modern medicine, because the modern medicine defines anatomy is a subject to study the body structure, and the physiology is a subject to study the body function. So for body structure is yin nature, for physiology is yang nature. Well, how do we think about the eight principles in anatomy and physiology? The conception is exterior and interior, better and vivid description of the body structure and the function, and I will explain it afterwards. And also etiology and pathophysiology. That's very interesting that Chinese medicine classify the etiology. That means the reason of the disease into exterior and interior and yin and yang, of course, definitely, and deficiency or excess, and exterior, interior, let me think. Oh, and the cold and heat and the cold. heat and cold. And also it shows pathophysiological changes of the body, how the body is react to the different reasons which cause diseases. So it will be very practical but very complicated at the same time. And the last is for diagnostic and pattern differentiation. Everybody knows that this video is to teach, and we should avoid the clinic use or any medical affairs. So I just want to emphasize that the diagnostics, that traditional Chinese medicine diagnostics and the pattern differentiation depend much on the 8 principles. If we require the Chinese medicine under the law, under the ethics, under the universal precautions and guidelines, according to modern medicine standard, the Chinese medicine really need a lot of way to go. Let's do it as example, exterior and interior. How do we use this principle to analyze the human body anatomy and to know about the function of the body, that's physiology, and the reason to cause the disease, etiology, and how the body react when they suffer the disease, that's pathophysiology, and finally we need to make a definition or make a conclusion of what is really this disease is. We name the disease, that's diagnostics, and finally we want to find the corresponding treatment. That's more complicated. First, anatomy. The exterior of the human body, for example, is skin. If the disease happens on the skin, we call it exterior. If the disease happened inside the interior, we call it interior. For example, if I have some problem of the lung, and it's called it's interior. And for physiology, the exterior shows, for example, sweating, because sweating is happens on the skin, so it's exterior. And this function, body function, also be classified as exterior. And urination with Chinese ancient philosophers, practitioners, they think that is water inside circulation and expels the urine. They think it is the water inside. So the urination, this physiological function, is called interior function. For etiology, that is the reason of the disease, the Chinese medicine made it into exterior and interior also. For example, if they think it's caused by virus infection, the cough is caused by virus infection, they say that it's caused by exterior pathogen. If the people have cough and spit out phlegm, and they think a phlegm is produced inside, so it's interior reason. For pathophysiological changes of the body, and there are also exterior and interior classification. For example, if the disease happens acute and people have instant immunal reactions towards this disease, they call it, it must be caused by the exterior pathogen has acute and exterior response. So it need to be exterior pattern, exterior problem. If it's caused by a very long time, and in Chinese medicine, you see, it's interior aspect, it's interior pathophysiological changes of the body. So it's chronic, it's interior. Well, for diagnostics, exterior and interior are very important. For example, if it's common cold, people cough and they say, it's exterior problem. If the people have cough and have very severe situation, it's pneumonia, they say it's interior problem. It's the problem of the lung. So it's also meet with the anatomy and etiology analysis of exterior and interior. Yeah, it happens not on the skin, but on the lung. So it's important for the diagnostics to make a clear classification of exterior and interior. And the pattern differentiation, that's the most important thing. It's called exterior pattern and the interior pattern. And they have different ways with corresponding herbs and treatment or acupuncture. Their treating method are different. For exterior pattern, people often use the expelling treating method. That means expel the exterior pathogens to be away from the body, and the people will get well down. But for interior problems, we cannot use expelling ways because that will make the internal problem a mess. So here we have to sit down and negotiate with the pathogens. That we call it regulating. That's make the body adjust to fit for the pathophysiological changes. So the treatment is depending on the pattern differentiation. And the pattern differentiation, we have to use 8 principles to have a clear classification and the definition and the conclusion on the pattern. So that's how the Chinese medicine works. I use some time to, and also thanks for ChatGPT. It helped me to summarize the 8 principles in every aspect of traditional Chinese medical theories and also its application for practical use. I name it as 8 Principles Manual, and I have, if you ask me to have it, I will send you by email or by some links. If I can do it, I can find the links. I can do it on my website, things like that. Well, like attracts like. It means the yang pattern and the yin pattern has the most, we see, gathered patterns. So the yang pattern, the typical and the pure yang pattern, it's scarcely exist. Its exterior axis heat pattern. If the pattern combined all the 3 principles, exterior, axis, and heat, these 3 principles, you can call it a pure yang pattern. If, on the contrary, if it has interior deficiency and cold pattern, it's called the yin pattern. It's pure yin pattern. Neither it will appear in clinical practice too often. It's just use a guideline for the body, for the pattern. We need rules, we need principles to make a clear classification. Even though we know it's impossible to have too clear classification of these items, of these patterns, of this body, of everything. Just have a try. Well, let's have an application of 8 principles. Yeah, the same lady have cough and the same year, not the same season. They have different season. So when it's in summer, he has cough. Here we have, we see the young symptoms like a fever, like it happens very quick. It's acute cough, and it has a high body temperature. There are some mistakes on the picture. That's 38, 30. That's wrong. It's generated by ChatGPT. Yeah, it just show the idea of yin and yang pattern, yin and yang principles. So heat, exterior, and axis, that means it's very severe cough with heat, with high temperature, and the Chinese medicine believe this is caused by exterior heat, exterior pathogen. So it will give you the conclusion of yang pattern or yang principle, and including heat principle, exterior principle, and axis principle. Well, if the same person have the same problem of cough in winter, we'll call it the yin pattern, because the symptoms will show that she has shivering, she has cough, and she feels cold. And the reason is caused by the season is cold season, cold weather, and she has cough inside and has chest pain. And we see that cough is not exterior cough, it's interior cough. Because she has a cough, she suffered a cough in summer, and that time made she has deficiency. She has a body immunity disorder and low body immunity. So the problem is the interior. The reason is caused by the exterior, but also interior. And the interior reason is more important than the exterior season. So that's how the body pattern with a TCM pattern differentiation for the same person and the same symptom have cough, but because the different seasons, different symptoms, different body temperature, and the different combination of the symptoms, like the lady feels fatigue, the lady feel deficiency, poor appetite, things like that. That's also the evidence to prove that she has deficiency. And for the two patterns, the treatment is totally different. For the first pattern, we use expelling the pathogen. After the pathogen expelled from the body, she will recover. But for the second pattern, it may need a relatively longer time because it's interior problems, and the prognosis of the treatment will not be too quick. Caution. This caution need the students to understand yin and yang characteristics well, and they can understand this part. So this part is really need to concern a lot. First is unity and interdependence. That means the yin and the yang, the exterior and the interior, the cold and heat, the axis and the deficiency relatively exist. That means relative existence of all the 8 principles. It means the cold has heat inside, the heat has cold inside. You cannot use a pure way to treat a problem because most of the problem is a combination or is complicated situation of the body. So you have to keep the balance. You use tonification and exfoliation at the same time. We see you use drainage and nourish at the same time. Just be careful of the percentage of the method you use. You need to have a priority, but never forget about use both of the ways to treat the same disease. Second is separation and opposition. That's treatment selection. It means if it's a cold pattern, you need to use warm herbs. That's a right or wrong question, and also that is a priority question. Which is priority? So you have to make a decision, and you have to know about its yin and yang, it's opposite to each other. You cannot say that, it's a half yin and a half yang. If it's really half yin and half yang, the human body would be good. There's no problem. And everybody is seeking for half good, half bad, half white, half black. No, it cannot make so accurate to have 50% to 50%. So the treatment selection, you need to have a priority. You need to have your trend, your choice. And for the 8 principles, you need to find which part is more and how to adjust the balance. And third is restriction and transformation. That's what I said. We need flexible methods, especially the time. Time is the most important factor when you use the treatment method. So we use the method, and we also need to think about the time and use flexible methods. For example, if we treat some heat problems, we need to add some cold herbs to adjust the percentage of it. That's flexible. And we need to find some true cold or fake cold. We have to use make the right choice, or that make a disaster. And our flexible method is so important. And last is reverse and rebalance. That means we need to have a plan, target for the treatment on the basis of 8 principles. We make a clear and right principles of the problem, of the disease, and it's evidence-based decision and evidence-based analysis of the problem. So I made nice work. I think I need to praise myself. I made a ATC TCM integrated SOAP note. Everybody knows that SOAP, SOAP, means subjective, objective, assessment, and plan. And I always think about doing it when I first contact with the modern medicine of SOAP. I think it's so nice invention to have collection of the evidence of the people's complaining and past history and symptoms we find, and lifestyle, and it also need us to have a very clear observation on the clients, especially the tongue, pulse, and those typical symptoms like I mentioned, shivering, and how he suffers a problem. For example, he has air conditioning, he catch cold. That's also useful for us to make a right conclusion, make a right choice, and use 8 principles that make everything clear. And we have assessment, especially by biomedical ways, and also the Chinese examination, especially the pulse and tongue, and also treatment strategy. That's our plan. Our interventions are our plan, and education is also our plan. That can help the client trust the TCM practitioners and tell them, and if they have the same, if they have the analysis, if they listen to the analysis of the TCM practitioner, I think most of them will nod their heads and say that that's true. That's how my problem develops like that. It has logic inside. I think Chinese medicine is really logic. Hope you like this part, and thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, if you ask about, if you are interested in about the 8 principle manual and SOAP form, give me email and I will send you the copy of that. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.